Up next, Mohammed Amer, the Managing Director at ICC MENA, will take us through how building codes are shaping safer and more innovative construction practices.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and I would like to extend our appreciation to the organizers of the Oman Building Design Week. It's an honor to be here, and quite an informative session from Hani and Tariq from PI regarding especially highlighting the notions about AI. Definitely, when people ask whether AI is going to replace humans, the answer is, at least from our perspective, that AI is going to replace or is going to automate things rather than replace humans. The worst case scenario, probably people who use AI are most likely going to replace people who don't use it. So we're going to do a slight shift. My name is Mohammed Amer. I'm the Managing Director with the International Code Council for the MENA region. How many of you are aware or familiar with ICC or the International Code Council? Okay, hopefully by the end of the presentation you'll be more aware and more familiar with what we do. So ICC is a US-based organization or association. We are the leading global source of building codes and building safety standards based out of the US. We have an office in Dubai that covers the MENA region and an office in Australia covering the Oceania. And we are well known to the public in the construction industry as the association that develops, as I said, building codes and building safety standards. But in addition to that, we offer a whole bunch of services related to testing, inspection, certification of building materials, or what we call the TIC industry. We do offer trainings on code-based trainings and credentialing programs, like we certify inspectors. We have the accreditation program as well, IES, if you're familiar with IES, which is the equivalent of IES from an international perspective, SAC in Saudi, JAC, EAC, and ENAS. We also offer code consulting services, which is something that I would like to mention, that we are working closely with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning in Oman to develop the Oman Building Code. So you may have heard this in the news. We're working closely with them and with the designated advisory council comprising of authorities having jurisdictions to develop the Oman Building Code, which acts as the building block for constructing buildings. So this is just a quick brief about who we are. It's a self-funded, non-governmental organization, member-focused. We develop building codes in an open consensus form, getting input from all building safety stakeholders. We are around 500 plus employees around the world. I'm the first and only employee in Dubai, and I've been with ICC for the past 5+ years. This is just to give a quick outline about our outreach. We have been doing business in the MENA even before our physical presence in Dubai, and it was mainly in the code consulting and training. So the Saudi building code is based on the I-codes. The Abu Dhabi building code is based on the I-codes. The Gulf building code that got recently issued is based on the I-codes, and the upcoming Oman building code is going to be based on the I-codes. And this creates some sort of harmonization in the region that diminishes the barriers to trade and makes even the market access, or it facilitates the market access for building materials, which I'm going to come to related to the TIC industry. So these are the set of 15 codes that we develop and publish, and they cover all aspects of building safety, from structural, mechanical, fuel, gas, plumbing, you name it. They're not all applicable to different regions. It depends on the use and the need in the market, and this is the beauty of the I-codes. We call them model codes because they can be adopted and adapted as per the local jurisdiction's need. The way the I-codes or the building codes are developed, I was just talking to the gentleman from PI, is that in the US, it's a decentralized model. It's a public-private partnership for the codes to be developed, and then it gets mandated according to the local jurisdiction or the state jurisdiction. In the MENA, regulations, when you think, when I say a code, I mean in Arabic, قانون البناء, the regulation, the what, the when, and the standard is the how. So in the MENA, authorities having jurisdictions are demand drivers. They are the ones, they are the scheme owners. They are the ones who develop the code through technical and advisory committees, and then it gets rolled down and mandated and implemented through the consultants, the contractors, the manufacturers, and so on. The I-codes gets updated every 3 years to accommodate and incorporate new methodologies in construction, and they are contemporary and comprehensive, without any conflicting, overlapping with different domains or different scopes. So it may sound like the answer is obvious to this question, but why building codes are important? The building block, the first line of defense of any structure is building code. Unfortunately, there is a perception that structures are safe if they are structurally intact, overcoming or overlooking aspects related to fire safety, related to MEP, indoor air quality. These are all important aspects that unfortunately a lot of times it gets overlooked. But from an environmental perspective, definitely when you have codes like the International Energy Conservation Code, the International Green Construction Code that governs the operational excellence of buildings, high performance buildings. From an engineering perspective, there's a very famous saying consultants may relate to, is that you have to take your time when designing a structure because we don't have time to go back and mitigate. So the more you cut corners, the more you take shortcuts, you have to go back to correct the design, mitigate, which will prolong the scheduling and prolong or delay the project submittals. And obviously from an economic perspective, according to statistics, for every dollar, I believe, that is spent in incorporating stringent building codes, you save around $19 in insurance cost or in mitigation cost. So in a nutshell, building codes is the first line of defense when it comes to designing, maintaining, and installing building materials. I want to give a quick overview about how building codes came into picture in terms of essence and importance. In the 1800s or beginning of 1900s, if people are familiar with the company UL Solutions, public safety company, there was a great focus on safety or public safety or building safety on the fire perspective. And the reason behind that is that people who are familiar with the first expo, the Chicago Expo, the fire that took place, which brought or triggered the attention of the experts of the importance of insurance companies, and hence the inception of a company like Underwriters Laboratories, in order to have testing that test equipments before they are being installed on site. And fire was the driving force. And then as the time passed, we started thinking about the safety or the welfare of the occupants, the durability of buildings, and all the way up to sustainability, which is the forefront of discussions. How can we make buildings sustainable in the sense that they can be passed on for future generations in an efficient and effective way? We're talking now with jurisdictions about how can buildings continue to be standing, operating efficiently for the next 100 years. And this cannot be achieved without having stringent and compliance pathways. The hierarchy that you see on the screen is not in order of importance, but in order of, I would say, what comes first as a benchmark or as a foundation, and then you build upon. The codes is always the building block of any building material or any building or structure. It's the what, it's the when. It dictates what needs to be built and when do you need to have specific parameters, or let's say fire-rated doors, or how many beams and columns I have. The code dictates that. Standard enables the code users or the testing agencies to understand how can the building materials comply. And guidelines are developed when there are no standards or particular standards for specific construction practice, like for instance 3D concrete printing or off-site construction. And then the commentaries or the user guides are tools that enables the code users to understand how can they apply the code, or how can they implement the standard from a test method perspective. We have, going back to the sustainable part, we have seen a shift, and that's why the codes now are mainly performance-based. We have seen a shift going from prescriptive to performance-based code. Prescriptive is when you say a fire-rated door, let's say, is listed as per the standard UL10C. That's a prescriptive measure. This is how the fire door is proof or is providing proof of compliance. But in many cases, you have new and innovative building systems that do not have a specific standard, but they still have to comply with the overall intent of the code. And this is where the performance part comes into play. How can I ensure that the building material is still complying with the code, even if I don't have a specific standard? So think of a performance report as a report that is equivalent to multiple prescriptive reports, because you're not complying with a specific standard, you're complying with the overall intent of the code. And this is just an example shown on the screen. I-codes, as I said, the building block for maintaining structures, both residential, commercial. We have a whole bunch of US-based standards referenced in our codes. ACI for concrete design, ASTM for test methods, ASHRAE for the Green Construction Code, UL for fire safety, NFPA for installation, you name it. And they're all part of how the code gets implemented in an effective way that maintains the buildings and ensures the safety of the occupants and the building, of course. And these are just examples of, I mean, in addition to, as I said, as a code development entity, we also have a whole bunch of growing number of standards. You can see, for instance, we have 3 standards that have been developed into off-site construction, and there's a growing demand for off-site construction. The materials used in off-site construction are conventional materials, but the way off-site construction works in terms of constructing panels, trusses, SIPs, you name it, off-site to minimize the workload, to reduce the manpower effort, to reduce the waste, is done off-site, and then it gets mobilized on-site for assembly. We also have a standard coming up, developed through an acceptance criteria called for the 3D concrete printing as well. And then a whole bunch of other standards catering to the whole building ecosystem. So this is the just a different interpretation or annotation for our family of solutions. I want to focus more on how building safety or building codes, stringent modern, up-to-date building codes can enable the use of performance-based design, which is the piece of the puzzle in blue, the product evaluation. So ICC as a parent company has a whole bunch of subsidiaries operating under it, the consulting, the training, the accreditation, and the product evaluation through what we call ICCES Evaluation Service. It's a third-party certification body that provides listing reports for prescriptive design and evaluation service reports for performance-based design. We are accredited globally, and we are recognized by local jurisdictions. Dubai municipality recognize and approve our reports. So we don't approve, we provide the solutions. We are the enablers for the authorities to give them peace of mind to approve the systems by the Saudi Building Code National Committee, by the Civil Defense, and so on and so forth. And we're working closely with the authorities in the Sultanate of Oman to get this kind of solution as an enabler for the new methods of construction, for the new building materials you are seeing here in the exhibition. What sets us aside is that we are a one-stop shop. We are a code developer, and at the same time we provide proof of compliance. And obviously there's a firewall in between for impartiality. If we were to say that a building system that is standardized or regulated is governed by a standard, a performance-based design is governed by what we call an acceptance criteria. So the million-dollar question is, what happens if the market or the authority as an approving agency is presented with a system or a method that is not standardized or regulated? This is where, and these are just examples, this is where the concept of the acceptance criteria comes into place. So acceptance criteria is like a standard, but it has special methodologies or test methods that ensures or provides proof of compliance to the overall intent of the code. In the building code, in section 104.11, you will find, and even if you open Dubai building code, Saudi building code, and very soon Oman building code, you will find a section that opens the door for alternative use of materials or as an alternative method. So if you have a system that you can't provide proof of compliance to a specific standard, you will have a way to do that from a performance perspective. And the evaluation service reports that is being published by ICCES using the acceptance criteria as the building block for it provides such compliance or such gateway for the authorities. So the acceptance criteria is a technical document. It gets developed by our staff engineers with the help and input from the manufacturers and the authorities, and then it gets assessed or through a code hearing comprising of government officials before it gets published, and it becomes the basis of the evaluation service report. So think of it this way, the ESR provides proof of compliance as a report. The AC shows how can this system comply or perform in the way that it should be. And these are examples of how an evaluation service report looks like. You'll see that it has the manufacturer's name, what is it evaluated against, what kind of code, the scope, the parameters, structural, fire, mechanical, and then conditions of use, and a whole bunch of other technical sections for the building system. Sandwich panels, void formers, steel rebars. I don't want to go too much technical, but the void formers, for instance, is a very there's a huge demand on these kind of systems as opposed to solid slabs that are embedded into foundations, reduce the amount of concrete pouring without compromising the structural integrity of buildings. So these are considered to be innovative building systems. They're made of recycled plastic, simple but sophisticated kind of approach, and they require an ESR as a proof of compliance that would enable the jurisdictions to look at it and provide market access. Just a map to showcase our footprint globally, providing different solutions from plan review, from inspection, code consulting, training, code development, ESRs, as I have listed. But I wanted to focus today mainly on the ESR part and how can this enable the use of innovative building systems. Obviously, the safe use of innovative building systems, and this cannot happen unless you have a strong base code. We're glad, I'm actually glad to be presenting this during the month of May. At ICC, we have an annual campaign called the Building Safety Month that runs every May for around almost 40 years. And this year's slogan is Game On. It's an annual campaign that raises awareness about the importance of building safety, either for building safety professionals or even for the general public. We're also pretty much involved in global and international dialogues with other SDOs or standard development organizations. We can talk more about this if anyone is interested to know more about the outreach that we have globally. Please feel free to scan those QR codes. Global Building Codes tool, we have, this is an initiative that we came up with a couple of years ago. It's a live document. It's a live interactive map. You can hover over countries around the world, and by clicking, it will give you information about the codes or the standards that are being implemented. And it doesn't have to be the I-codes. The I-codes are referenced globally, even if they're not mandated. ICC membership, if you're interested in knowing more about our different membership tier groups and the benefits that come with. And last but not least, the ICC MENA Building Safety Journal, for those who are interested to stay up to date with what we do and offer, our outreach, our advocacy. Please feel free to subscribe, and it's a quarterly safety journal. So every 3 months, you'll receive updates on our activities in the region. And just a glimpse of some of the authorities or business partners that we are, we work closely with as demand drivers. And as I said, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning obviously is the entity that we are working closely with on the development of the Oman Building Code. follow the news and you'll know more about the workshops that we host with them, and the whole capacity building we call, including, by the way, tools related to AI, which is pretty tricky. I do agree that with Tariq when he was talking about don't rely too much and trust AI, because especially with building codes is a technical and legal document. So even if you get a technical interpretation, the legal part may be misinterpreted. So you must have the human element involved for proper interpretation. And just snapshots from what we've been involved with in terms of advocacy, outreach, trade shows, offsite construction, our meetings with our clients. The photo in the middle is one of the meetings or the periodic meetings we have with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, as we achieve milestones in the project. So we're pretty much involved and embedded into anything that has to do with building safety in the region, and we're proud to be acting as enablers for it. So with that, thank you very much. This is my email and our MENA specific website if you want to know more and learn more about our solutions. But I'm more than happy to answer questions if you have. Yeah, thank you.
When it comes to seismic issues, what will be your mission?
So seismic design, you mean? So our core building code, which is the IBC, the International Building Code, addresses structural design in seismic or in high seismic activity locations. So, and it all starts with the foundation. So we do have provisions in the code that addresses this. And depending on the zones classified by the authorities, our codes can be implemented accordingly. So I can send you more details on the chapters and the provisions that addresses the seismic design.
Okay, thank you.
This is for the IBC. It depends if, and hopefully with the OBC, it will also address, because there is seismic activity. I mean, with the different, demographics in Oman, you will find different. If you are designing in a mountain, it's different than in the urban area, and so on. So you will have also provisions in the Oman Building Code. But I can send you what's there in the IBC, the International Building Code.
I didn't see any in the listing any thing related to
codes. So the list is the headlines.
The headlines.
Seismic is part of the structural side, which is part of the IBC.
Okay.
The main code, the IBC, which is 950 pages. This
Okay.
is the biggest code that includes provisions even from other domains, plumbing, mechanical, but mainly structural.
Thank you, Mohammed, for the excellent
Pleasure.
presentation.
Pleasure.
I worked in construction for 5 or 6 years of my life, and I know that what you're talking about is very important.
Yeah.
My question is, I noticed that you're focusing on government, and this is the right track to be done, because they are the source of authority to manage. What about building or just spreading the knowledge, at least for the codes, with the contractors and subcontractors?
Actually, we do. The reason why probably I mentioned authorities is, as you said, in the MENA region, innovation is driven by the private sector, and the authorities or the AHJs, they regulate the mandates. So maybe that's why it's a top-bottom approach. But we do work closely with consultants in providing our trainings, in influencing them, even in specifying new methods of construction. We work with manufacturers, obviously, because the manufacturers are the one who we issue for them the ESRs and the listing reports, proof of compliance. But mainly the work with the authorities runs across the whole ecosystem, from training, from code consulting, from evaluations, because they are the ones who gather all this information, and then it gets disseminated across the different stakeholders. But we work definitely with all stakeholders, contractors in training. The offsite construction solutions is a heavy lift for contractors. So we also provide digital design tools, quality assurance protocols for contractors to equip them with new credentials, because obviously when you're building offsite or modular, whether modular or precast, you need to have the contractors to be equipped with a different set of skills. We do provide these training. So it's not only authorities. I may have probably focused more even on this slide to show authorities, but we really work closely with our MENA build. What we call this picture is one of the meetings, the MENA Building Science Advisory Council. It's like a think tank we developed. comprising of test labs, consultants, contractors, manufacturers, authorities. We have Dubai Municipality, the member. Most of our members in this group are manufacturers. Sorry? Absolutely, absolutely. Please, yeah, Mike, please. I think we have the mic. Yeah.
Hi, I have a question. You mentioned that there's a code for 3D printed construction.
There's a standard, an acceptance criteria for 3D concrete printing that is turning into a standard, and hopefully it will become codified.
So I wanted to ask about that. So it's still in the works, and roughly how long do you assume it would take to be official and solidified?
I think you're referring to this standard. Just go back. Oh, sorry. The 1150 standard for 3D concrete printing. So this is in the making, okay? And I would expect by next year it will be ready. But the criteria is ready. So the criteria is when there is no standard.
Okay.
And then once the criteria is developed, it could be standardized. And then the next stage is to have it referenced in the code. But if you need more information on the criteria, I think it's AC 509, criteria for 3D concrete printing up to 3-story.
All right.
I can send you the details on that.
Fine.
Are you like interested in particular for a particular project or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let me put my email at the end just to send me an email, please, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have a mission to work as a third party to witness or to sign that this project is according to standard?
We are a third party from a tech perspective, testing, inspection not of buildings, inspection of factories, of manufacturing locations, and certifying products. We don't inspect buildings. We provide plan review for design work, but you're referring to inspecting what? Inspecting buildings?
Yes, inspecting all the systems in the building and to sign for the client that this building is according to standard.
This is beyond our scope. It's outside of our scope. We don't do that. We do around that. We provide plan review services. We certify building systems being installed. We inspect factories that are producing those building systems. We test those building systems. We certify them. We train the individuals conducting the inspection, but we don't inspect. We don't even certify buildings like LEED, BREEAM, or Istidama, Safat. We don't do that.
Okay.
But let me give you in perspective. If you comply with the International Green Construction Code, by default, you achieve silver LEED rating. But we don't inspect the building and say it is complying. We don't do that. This is part of, I think this falls under the jurisdiction of the authorities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe in the future. So, yeah, I think we have a question over there.
Well, first
Hello?
of all, thank you, Engineer Mohammed, for all this information.
Sorry, can you raise your voice, please?
Yes. I'm far away from this, but I'm curious for acceptance criteria. So you mentioned that the authorities can help you and do the acceptance criteria. So yes, I mean, there is acceptance criteria for each country. I mean, like for Saudi and UAE.
Good point. Yeah, thank you. Okay, good point. The acceptance criteria is developed by the ES engineers, our engineers, and then it goes through approval through the code, through the government officials in the US. The time it takes to develop a criteria on average is 6 months, 6 to 8 months. But because we have 3 times in the year for the code hearings, in February, in June, in November. But we are recently, this is like a spoiler alert, we are working with an authority to develop a MENA tailored criteria that would take fraction of the time, and we don't need to go to the government officials in the US. It will be comprising of locally based government officials and members that they choose. So this, very soon, we're hoping that we will have a criteria developed specifically for Dubai municipality, a criteria developed for Muscat municipality. What I want to note is that this will enable the client to get proof of compliance as per that jurisdiction for that criteria. They would still have to go for the globally recognized criteria in order to have a global recognition for their products. But this is a fast track way to, if let's say a client is only interested in Dubai market, in Omani market, we are working on a model to develop criteria that is Omani oriented and so on. Thank you for the question. Yes. Any other questions? I'm more than happy to discuss offline, and please feel free to just save my email, send me if you have any questions, and we can definitely connect. Yes, please. My LinkedIn, if you, yeah, I should have probably put my the QR code. Mohammed Ahmed Amer, you'll see me. Just try it, because there are so many Mohammeds and Ahmeds, mashallah, so just try to look at the face and you will recognize me on LinkedIn. Yeah, question please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا مش من البداية طبعا، من أول ما قدمت البرزنتيشن، ولكن بسألك عن الكود العماني في أي مرحلة الآن وصلتوا؟
طيب.
أنا قبل تقريبا سنة حضرت معكم بداية الكود العماني، كان في شرح workshop.
Yes. طيب. Can I answer in English just for the sake of everyone? So the gentleman is asking, in which phase are we now at the Oman Building Code development? Yani forgive me for not being able to talk a lot about this, because it's a project between us and the authority for now. But if you follow the news, let's say we are midway. We are halfway, okay? There's still more to come, especially in the specialty codes. The specialty codes training and workshops are still going to happen. So let's just say midway, okay? But forgive me for being unable to give more details on that. If you, I mean, I would defer to the authority to talk directly with them so that they can give you more information. But if you want, we can discuss this offline, like if you have a specific question, okay? So if you're able to look me up on LinkedIn, we can connect, and this is my email. I'm more than happy to discuss further. I'm based in Dubai, but I travel frequently across the MENA. Thank you very much. Thank you.